Now, are you able to quantify with words what you're here for?
I'm here to serve people by any means necessary.
I'm here tonight with Tamara Sandifer, an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a professional dance instructor, Forbes 50 cultural winner. In 2005, she started Studio T Urban Dance Academy.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T, as she prefers to be called. She is the T in T, Studio Arts, Dance, and Media Production Studio.
I never want to miss an opportunity to show up in somebody's life because I know why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Opportunity is constantly presenting itself. Most people don't agree with their dreams. It's a nice dream, but they don't say, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's what's up, I like that. Once you do that, nothing can stop you. Anything you experience or endure in life, it's all gold. It's a setup. It's to prepare you for the ultimate you that you're designed to come. So never look at it as a deficit. Look for the lessons in it.
Miss T is an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a professional dance instructor, and her students have gone on to dance for Justin Bieber, Jennifer Lopez, big names like that. She's a youth mentor, a youth motivator. She's a philanthropist bent on teaching the underserved creative and critical life skills so they have a chance to succeed. In 2005, she started Studio T Urban Dance Academy, which she basically went to areas where there was people going through hard times and troubled areas, underserved, and she would gather them in public areas and show them how to dance and give them camaraderie and community and purpose and pride. Would you mind sharing how dance came about in your life?
Well, dance is something that, growing up, a single mom, 6 kids, she was gone a lot. But in my community, my culture, the Black community, dance is how we talk. It's what helps us overcome. So you go to a family reunion or a barbecue at the park or a birthday party or Thanksgiving or Christmas gathering.
Oh, I've never
you play
heard it
the
like
right
that.
song.
Dance is how we talk. I love that.
Yeah, you play the right song, and it's not something that we learn in a class. It's not something that anybody ever directs. It's just this one does it, then this one adds on, then this one adds on. And before you know it, the entire family's in the living room or in the middle of a park, and we're all doing the same thing. And it's just amazing. And so, it's just culturally, it's how we connect, but it's also how we communicate. And most often growing up, we're going through some pretty, tumultuous things. So it was a way for us to articulate our difficulty and then our will to overcome.
How did dance help you with that? As far as like expressing your will?
Yeah, for sure. So, I was very shy growing up. So you don't always have English words to tell what you're feeling or what you're going through, but movement can.
Yeah.
If you think about something like this, 50 words that you can describe that look, that move, or something like this.
Yeah.
So movement communicates. And again, this is not something that I learned in a book. This is just something that I learned from living my life. And then dance, again, I have my dance mentors. I never did a dance class. I didn't know that there was such a thing. Where I grew up, we didn't have that because no one was building businesses in a poor community where people couldn't afford to pay for their classes. So, thank God for things like MTV that came out when they were really just doing music videos. Every music video back then had dances that went with every song.
Yeah, that was a
so
career
I learned,
for people.
And that's how I learned dance. I would also offer the movie, and then the show Fame came out. Miss Debbie Allen is my dance hero. She really, truly was my first dance teacher. And then classics like Breakin', that movie Breakin', there were Breakin' 1, Breakin' 2, those came out. That was a documentation of all of our culture back when hip hop wasn't a thing, and we were trying to break hip hop into mainstream, and we got a lot of resistance for it. It's not real dance, that's that street stuff. So you couldn't really, people didn't really embrace it.
Where was that resistance coming from?
Oh, from
Like
the
traditional, like
traditional
ballet and stuff? Okay, yeah. I can see how that'd be a little disruptive. We're not going to do this choreographed stuff. We're just going to let it flow, guys. They're like, no. We practiced for 30 years to do one thing. You're going to stick with that. Okay, I can see how that would be pushed on.
So it's a total disruption of the dance culture. All the dance norms. So tap and jazz and ballet and contemporary, those all have a set of standards and rules that they follow, where hip hop is just like, what do you feel?
Yeah, what do you feel?
What do you feel in this moment, actually?
That's
Not what do
awesome.
you feel? Like, what is right now? What do you feel? What does the song make you feel? And what happens if the beat just drops? Boom. What does that make you feel? And so there's no script for it, which means you can't control it. Which is why I think the real challenge lies is you can't control this one.
So when you're a kid, dance helped you cope with some tough circumstances.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there any part of that you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah,
Some of your
certainly.
circumstances that might have shaped who you are today?
Certainly. So I grew up in a city called Richmond, California. It's in the Bay Area, not very far from Oakland. And, my mom was a single mom, 6 kids. And it was really hard. It was really, really difficult for us. So, you go through traumatic experiences, anything from, being in an atmosphere where there's gang violence all the time, growing up in the height of the crack epidemic, where you're losing your parents in that process. Not having enough resources to survive. Something simple like being in a household where the water gets cut off, or there's no heat, and it's winter time, and there's trauma there. And then just being in an atmosphere with other people that are not the best kind of humans all the time. You're getting your stuff stolen every day. You can get beat up on the way to school, or you may not even make it to school. So, growing up, trauma really, I look back on it sometimes, and I have moments where I was like, "Wow, that was really crappy." You're like, "Oh, how well, really?"
Right.
But then, then you're gifted wisdom and understanding when you ask the question, like the why. Why was it so difficult? And I look at it now, and I think that it was preparation. I think that there were pockets of us that were going through these really gnarly situations back in the day, but today, it's so widespread. I mean, people going through trauma, people really being challenged in the communities that they live in, not having enough resources, whether it's food or their basic needs being met, or technologically disadvantaged. They don't have access to the tools that are the standards of the day.
This day and age.
Well, that's where your opportunities come from. That's where that's how you can get employed. You want a job? Well, go online and fill out an application. Well, what if you don't have access to that? So I just learned that my upbringing really was preparatory for, not just the work that I'm doing, but the kind of human that I get to show up as in other people's lives. I can say I have cultural equity. I went through that, and I made it through that. So give me your hand. Let's do this together. And I can really walk people through, their trauma, and then teach them how to use that trauma and turn it into something that works for them. And most often that's through entrepreneurship. There's a lot of people that went through some really difficult, epic fails, but those are all setups. You can take that and make gold out of that. And most often people don't think about that. They think, oh my God, I failed. But did you leave all the lessons on the table? Did you learn through the failure? Never leave a lesson on the table.
Your Side Hustle Academy is one of the facets of Studio T Arts and Entertainment, right? Is this kind of where that was birthed from?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, entrepreneurship, again, is super key, especially if you go to, communities of color, we always have a hustle. We do what we can by way of occupation, but either we're making beats, or we're making music, or we're selling sandwiches, or we're doing something on the side that's giving us a little more. We're braiding hair, or doing something that's making us more money. So Side Hustle Academy was super key during COVID, largely because no one could clock in at work. And then corporate America wasn't super prepared for everybody to work remotely. So everybody kicked into, well, I got to make money somehow. So entrepreneurship under the guise of Side Hustle Academy has been a big thing, not just for our young people, but their parents. So we can continue to teach them, yes, you got this gift, but let's learn how to monetize this gift, and then let's learn how to make this into a business. There's paperwork, there's standards, there's systems, there's structures. These things are not taught. Sometimes you got to go to school, and even what you learn in school doesn't prepare you for corporate America. And so, again, Side Hustle Academy was super key for a lot of people making it during the pandemic by way of providing them with supplemental resources so they could survive.
Wow. So your childhood built grit and tenacity, but it also built in empathy to you, and a certain amount of humility and a depth to who you are, so you can relate to a ton of different people and get their trust and teach them these things.
You are right about that. That's very well articulated. You're 100% right. And I think that is vitally important. And I can see where there's some lack of that if you just kind of scan the global landscape of human. I think that if we had more people that had that empathy, if you can take what you've experienced and then watch somebody else experiencing that, have the empathy to help them through it because you made it through it, I think that would reshape our world, and we have a lot less.
Yeah, and not judge, not think you're better than, and not think that person can't teach you something.
Yeah, not better than, different from. Not better than, different from.
Definitely,
but not better than.
Yeah, and that's a terrible place to live on either side. If you feel like you're living in an area or position in life where people feel better than you, and if you're a person that feels better than any other human being for any reason, that's a terribly lonely, awful place.
Yeah, you are right about that. You're right about that.
So that prepared you for the amount, because also all the stuff that I listed and all the stuff that you've talked about, that's got to take a toll on you. And so that fifth and sixth gear that you have comes from the motivation to help people because you know what it feels like to be where they're at. So I imagine there's some sort of, if not me, who I can't slow down type of motivation.
And I also, that does exist sometimes, but I think once you become clear about why you're here, I know why I'm here. And I know I have a prescribed window of time to accomplish what I was designed to accomplish. And so when I think about, okay, well, maybe, I don't want to do this, or I feel tired today and I want to sleep in, or this is really hard, or this person really hurt me. And, I'm always reminded, God made me for this. And I have a window of time to accomplish what he sent me to accomplish. And at some point, I'm going to transition to eternity. But I don't want to learn lessons there that I should have learned here by way of serving people, loving people, helping people, supporting people, guiding people, hugging people, crying with them when they need somebody to cry with them, laugh with them when they need somebody to laugh with them. I never want to miss an opportunity to show up in somebody's life because I know why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And if everybody can remember, the careers are great, the accolades are great, but we were created to be a family. We were created to love each other. We were created to support each other. We were created to thrive and grow and develop and innovate together. That's why we were created here. And this is one big college campus. So if we can just get to the point where we all realize we're all learning, we're all growing, and we help each other through the process of that, then I think it makes things a lot easier to just keep doing and then keep showing up. Like, it's never a question if you get a phone call, I get a text message, or, someone who's doing something amazing by way of a channel that's celebrating the people doing good in life. And I get that call. And then 3 days later, I'm having a conversation with another brilliant human being who just figured out why they're here. So no, every now and again, if I allow myself to have a selfish moment, that thought may present itself, but I never give the thought the opportunity to root or build a nest. And so it develops into something like, that's not my thought. I'm going to let that one go because it doesn't, no matter what, I know I can sleep when I'm dead. I don't need that now. Right now, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. And so I'm very, very aware, I think, is to answer your question. I think I'm very aware that I'm here for a reason, and I want my well done. When I'm standing in front of the absolute creator of everything that's good and perfect and right and just, and he says, well done.
That got me.
Yeah, so that's what I want.
Okay, so, wow. That is incredible. Now, are you able to quantify with words what you're here for? And I'm not asking you to do it, but when you say, I'm here for a purpose, I'm here to accomplish, does it feel like a knowing or a calling? Or like,
absolutely.
What is it? Yeah, can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. I'm here to serve people by any means necessary. It is my job. It is my call. It is my gift, using my gifting, my time, my talent, my financial resources by any means necessary. It is my call to help people through their trauma. It's my call to help people through their challenge. I'm not a clinical person, so I'm not going to sit and have a psychological discussion with you, but I will take your hand.
But you're also not burdened by those guidelines.
No, I don't have boxes. I don't have ceilings. I don't have limits. Because sometimes, it's something as simple as my kids, there's these anti-bullying campaigns, and we got to figure out how to make kids kind, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. When I find that, well, why don't you ask them, why are you getting picked on?
Wow.
Oh, well, so-and-so's, don't take my shoes, well, Walmart shoes, and there's Shaq shoes, and my mom don't have money to get Jordans. Okay. And then when we do get Jordans, that's the only pair of shoes we have. So I can't do PE because these are my only shoes. So I'm going to get an F, I'm going to get an L in PE. Plus the kids hate me. So if I wear the shoes that I can get messed up, it's a snowball. So, okay, here's the answer. Baby, Miss T just get you some shoes. We just get you some shoes. Now he's got friends. Yo, Paul, you see them? Yeah, you got the J's. Yeah, I got the J's. So for me, sometimes it's just showing up with something as simple as shoes. Something as simple as hygiene items. Knowing the people that I'm positioned to service. Sometimes they have to make a tough choice. Do I buy food or do I buy hair care products?
You know what's crazy to think about? So say you buy someone shoes, they've got friends. This is the part that I've kind of seen in the last couple of years is that we're all connected. So an act like that might seem like, okay, $40 pair of shoes, but that could have changed the course of that person's life, inspired them, and then they inspired two people, and that person's president, or this person starts a world peace movement. Or these little acts of kindness, right down to eye contact and how are you doing, or big.
They're big.
They're rippling to everything. What
That's
you're
true.
putting out into humanity, you're getting back. And I think when people think about giving back, I think they think either, checks, okay, 10% tithe or whatever, or like, let me go volunteer my time. But I remember I asked you on the phone, like, what do you think the easiest way people can give back right now? And you no hesitation, you said, go take your neighbor's trash can up. Boom.
Yeah.
Like, what does that do? Imagine that person comes out and somebody did this for me. Well, I'm going to do something for someone else.
There you go. There you go. You go into a park, pick up the trash. Don't leave. Make it better before you go. You're in the Starbucks, wipe the counter down. People make a mess when they're putting their creamer in their coffee. You go into a bathroom in a restaurant, the sinks are always wet and there's crap on the floor. Pick it up. Wipe the sink down. Someone comes into a nice, orderly bathroom. That's one less thing that the person who's hired, I know that they're hired to do that, but wow, people care. Yeah, people care. I know you work hard, and I know you must work hard outside of this because this is your job. So here, it's nothing. You're in the airport. You help. I got you. The lady sitting there in the wheelchair, she's just sitting there waiting for someone to wheel her somewhere. Have a conversation. Hi.
I like
How are
that.
you? You ready to get on this plane? I'm so excited for this. Where are you going? It's not difficult. It's just different. And it's the easiest of things to do something transformative. You don't have to. It's not rocket science. It's hello.
Yeah. And even the intention as well. Like nobody's going to know that you cleaned up the bathroom, but somebody who's responsible for that bathroom is going to come in and be touched. Somebody didn't have to do this, and they did that. That's good intention. That impacts people too. So your teenage years, what memorable experience? Well, first of all, actually, I want to ask you, what's one of your happiest moments from childhood?
Cheerleading.
Okay.
I did.
How long did you do that?
I did that all of high school. In fact, I established our first dance program or dance team at my high school. That was 31 years ago. And it's still there, still going strong.
Wow.
But I met a lady named Charlotte Spangler, and somehow she could see me. And it's a thing when you're so accustomed to being invisible. There were a lot of things about my life that a lot of people didn't know, didn't see. They didn't know the challenge and the trauma that I was enduring. For some reason, she could see me. And being visible to her gave me the confidence to do something that, was very, very hard for me. And that was try out with a bunch of girls that I knew had training forever and ever and ever, and I'd never had a class. It turned out to be one of the very best things that ever happened to me as a result of, as a performer, but it gave me the confidence to do more. And I remember being in my senior year and a bunch of us young ladies auditioning for this special camp that we would know about if we made it. And I was the one that made it, and it was actually an opportunity to work with Paula Abdul at one of her first ever camps. But I was excited that I made it, but there was some expense involved. And again, single mom, limited income. I had a little job, but it wasn't enough to cover for a flight to go and participate in this camp. So I missed the opportunity. But one of the greatest moments was the fact that I made it. And I was the one that was least likely to make it. Because I didn't have all the training and I didn't have all the stuff, but I guess they saw something in me that, my coach saw in me, and I took the shot, and it was big for me.
You communicated to them something through your dance, like you said.
Yeah, but it gave me vision. I'm like, wait a second, I can do this. And I've carried that you can do this it's been a thread my entire life.
Wow.
Of course you can, T. You can do this.
When did you know I'm here to serve? I'm here to help people. I have a skill set that can be used for good. And I know at some point a mentor came into your life, but do you remember how old you were when you first thought, I'm going to do something that serves communities? Or was that the thought process?
When I was a kid. When I was a kid, like sometimes we didn't have food. Okay, T, go find food. Sometimes we didn't, we didn't know how to read. Okay, T, figure it out so you can help them. Teaching my brothers, teaching them the colors, teaching them how to tie their shoelaces. I don't know that I can remember a time when I didn't. But again, you're in a family that's limited. And your mom's, off trying to make things work. And we spent an absurd amount of time alone with each other. We became, each other's keepers and teachers and protectors and providers.
Are you guys still close today?
Yeah, we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
so cool.
So it's, I don't remember not doing that. And then, you grow up in a community where that need is everywhere. So, I don't hear about something and think, wow, it's too bad for you guys. It's like, no, we rally and we figure out how to help. And that's just how it was. If one can make it, then we make it.
Yeah.
And no man left behind.
So how do you take that attitude and from intent to professional?
I've always had the Side Hustle Academy came from T always having side hustles. So I learned, I was very studious, spent an absurd amount of time in books. My happy place was under the bed with a book when I was younger.
Where did you access the books?
School libraries.
That's awesome.
And then public libraries, this is all pre-internet. So, I had to do a lot of self-study. And I knew, if you're going to make it, it's because you made it. It's not because someone came and rescued you, because that didn't happen.
Nobody's picking
So if you're going to make it, it's because you made it. And so I knew that I wanted to be more. I wanted to help more. I wanted to do more. I knew money was a very important part of being able to do more. So I said, okay, I have to figure out how to monetize myself, my skill sets, my talents. And so business was a natural lean in. So I read a lot of books. And I put a lot of things in practice, and I failed a lot. And but I learned, failing is not bad. Failing is just part of the process. And so I quote this to my young people all the time. When they have a misstep or they fail, did you get the lesson? Because in every failure, and I've had some very, very big ones, I never leave a lesson on the table. I make sure that I'm getting everything out of the experience that I should get, that's going to prepare me for whatever level is next. But it's a part of the process. So, just learning by doing is a very big thing for me. And then as far as the business piece, aligning myself with people that, I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I'm a huge fan. I stay teachable. I'm a student. I'm always a student. I want to learn, man. I got to learn, because if I can learn, then I can teach it to others. So the more I learn, the more I can share. The more I grow, I can help other people grow. So I'll ask anybody a question, and I'll take it however it's packaged. You can be yelling at me. You can be mad. You can use whatever language you want, as long as you're getting me the information and the education I need to be better. So I can help other people be better.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I have never heard the end link of that. Enduring hard times and wanting to be open and humble and learn and open book, but to help others.
Yeah.
That's how you can endure being screamed at and things like that. Wow.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care how you get me the information. Just get me the intel. I don't care if you like me or if you love me.
And then you don't have to scream it to the next person.
Nope. I just want the information and the education, because I know if you get it to me, I'll get it to thousands of people before they get corrupted by something traumatic. And then they'll have a legitimate shot at doing something great with the agreement that I'm going to share this with you, but you need to find 20 of you. I'm going to help you, but I'm only going to help you if you agree that you will be then tasked to help 20 of you. You find them because they're there, and you give them what I'm gifting you. This is a gift, and gifts are meant to be given.
Wow. Are you comfortable sharing one of those failures and what lesson you took from it?
Oh, yeah, sure. So in 2005, I was just trying to follow the path that other people did that are in the dance business. They say, okay, if you want to dance, then you got to do a dance studio. And I'm like, a dance studio? But I'd never been to a dance studio, but I was just following the model that other people did. So I bought a $500,000 building. That was my first experience with a dance business. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm about to buy a building.
Big.
Yeah. But that was that was 2006, 2007. And then the bottom fell out of everything in 2008.
Yeah.
And so I took an early retirement from the phone company. I was a network engineer with the phone company. Again, learned through books, all self-study.
Wow.
And never had a degree. I had a high school diploma, landed the job.
Route switch?
Huh?
Route switch?
All day.
Okay, there you go.
All
I
day.
worked at Cisco. I know the language
All
a little
day.
bit.
C+ certification, the whole bit. Yeah, I got it.
Wow, self-taught that.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, I mean, but if somebody wrote a book and I
course.
studied it,
Yeah.
and that's how I learned. And then I looked over shoulders of all the techie guys. But I took a retirement and took that, my 401k, a second on my house, and bought this building. And then the bottom falls out of everything.
Oh.
So I lost the building, I lost my savings, I lost my 401k, I didn't have a job, and I lost my house. And I ended up homeless with my kids and my husband at the time. We were living in a hotel. And
Oh my gosh.
we had no place to go. I was putting my hands on my car, the gas tank, and I had to pray because I had no money for gas, but I was going out finding work. It was a really, really gnarly time. And I grew up I'm a welfare kid. I grew up on welfare, and I remember, when I was younger, I said, I'll never be on welfare. I'll never. So I remember even during that time, I had to, go and apply for welfare. It was really, really hard. Just going to the office and then going to the office and seeing people that used to take your classes.
Sure.
And stuff. It's like, oh
no.
God,
Oh.
So
Wow.
but again,
humbling.
that again was a gift. Because they gave me an option. They said, okay, we're going to give you these services, but you have to find a job, which I had been diligently looking for, or you have to go back to school full time. And I'm thinking, I'm a pretty sharp cat. I like to learn.
Sure.
And so I went to school and I studied photography, which is what I really enjoyed, along with dance and videography. I think they all coupled together, and I think sometimes people try to separate things, but that's all part of entertainment. So I went back and learned something that created an entire department that I have right now, and I was able to graduate with a college degree.
Is that the media and production department where
Yeah.
people can come use your studio and host okay, that's incredible. So people can come in and get I don't even know where to start here, but people can come in, get professional photos, host a podcast, get on video and have access to
sizzle reels,
and then put it on their
documentaries,
social
movies.
media, market themselves.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
incredible.
We have clients anywhere from assembly members for the state to mayors to city agencies, council members, large corporations like the golden ones, small corporations, you name it. They all come in. Our young people make their content. And again, it started with me sharing what I learned with 3 young men. And it's definitely blossomed since then. But again, during COVID, we had a lot of businesses that didn't know how to go virtual. And so we used those services to help small businesses get online. Anywhere from graphic design, web development, videography, photography. And then the podcast studios, we actually have several. Recording studios, we have 8.
Wow.
And then you
Wow.
do any of that, by way of production in conjunction with things like dance or things like we have a full commercial kitchen with broadcast capabilities so that we can teach meal prep and things like that. And it goes right into people's homes. So all of that stuff was really instigated when T was forced to go back to school because she was homeless and had to get on welfare.
Wow. Sorry, I digressed you. So photography and dance
Yeah.
intertwined.
Yeah.
And then did you finish that degree, and what was the step after that?
Yeah, I finished the degree, and at the time, I became, a single parent. Like, the relationship really couldn't survive all the, I mean, we were getting hammered, and it was really, really tough, and we started being really unkind to each other, and it was bad. But anyhow, I started rebuilding my company, rebuilding my life, because I was single, raising 3 kids, and 2 of them had medical problems, one of which had epilepsy, and we didn't know until she drowned to death in the bathtub. So when I found her, she was blue, and had to do CPR and got her heart going. She was in a coma for a bit. And so, again, that was another challenge, another extreme challenge. But, all of these things are happening, during the course of your bottom of your life just fell out. And then you're a college student, and you're building a business, and you're, trying to rebuild your family and get them healing through the process of trauma that they just experienced.
And keep your mind right.
And not go crazy.
Yeah.
And not go crazy.
What was the biggest tool you used to not go crazy?
Oh, I love God.
Your faith.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus is real, and the Word of God is real. It works in my life. I have no other explanation other than the miraculous power of a living God. I know that I was rescued multiple times. I know that, when you talk about salvation, I know I was saved. I can't even articulate in English words the multitude of times that the presence of God kept me sane, kept me going in the right direction, kept me, finding the right opportunities at the right time, or just a breath prayer. Sometimes that's all you have is a breath prayer. God help. And then someone knocks on your door with groceries. How do you explain it? So what kept me sane was I have a relationship with a living God, and He shows Himself very faithful to me every day. So I never, ever make the mistake in thinking that it's the great T, and she's doing all of this. Nope, it's not. Someone is very, very present in my life, and He's good to me. He's very, very good to me, and because He's good to me, I can be good to people. And I know that when you can live through what I've lived through, knowing that people were sent to you. People were inspired to help you. People were, guided to support you, or guided to guide you. Then it makes it really easy to honor and obey when you get that nudge to wipe a counter off, or don't you leave that there, T.
What does that look? What does that feel like to you? Is it a voice, or is it a knowing, or is it an inspiration that comes through you?
It's all of it. Sometimes it sounds like me, but it's not something I thought. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes it's something like, how you can imagine, you can visually see something. So for example, the building that I have now, I've seen it for the past 20 years. So people say, "Are you so excited?" And I'm like, "No, I've been living in this for years." So I'm just excited that you finally get to see it. So it's the equivalent of, a woman finding out she's going to have a baby. She knows about the baby for 9 months. So when people say, "Are you so excited?" You're like, "I've been doing this for 9 months."
Yeah.
Like 9 months. I'm excited that you can now see what I've been doing for 9 months. So It's kind of like that. You can see things. But I know it's the Lord using my imagination to show me, okay, this direction, that direction, which gives me the courage and confidence to do things that are completely out of my scope and realm of education and understanding, because I can see it. Another thing is I'll get a thought, an idea, and then someone will say, "Hey, you should," and it confirms.
Okay. That gave me goosebumps again. All right, I'm experiencing certain things like that. Okay, I'm not going to go through them, but this is super helpful. I interrupted you and I have no idea where I'm going, but that's amazing. Yeah. Do you ever wonder do you ever put time in wondering if these are good signs or from God, or do you ever feel like things come to you and you're like, "I don't know where that came from, but I don't think I'm going to follow that"?
Here's what I know about God. He leads by red lights. If you're not getting a red, go. And so if I get something, I go. But if he wants me to go left or right, he'll throw up a red sign. And it could be in the form of, this is not flowing. It could be in the form of, you get that thing in your gut and you're like, trust it.
Okay.
Trust it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But other than that, green means go, baby.
And not flowing, meaning you would have to force it, or you're trying, like,
yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And if it gives you, I think people have lost trust in their instincts and their gut. Those are things that are gifted to you to give you the barometer, or even the compass to which way to go or which person to work with. We all have it. It's just that most often people don't trust it. And I've learned to I don't know. Or it's easy to even, like, when you get that icky thing when you've done something, you know, that's how you know you hurt somebody or you did a thing that's not so good. So we have built into us instincts that guide us. But as long as you got peace on the journey, baby, pedal to the metal. Green means go. You'll know when to stop. You'll know when to pause for yellow. You'll know when to rethink some things. But it's built into each human being. And if you look at the people that are wildly successful, they trust that about themselves. I know what I'm doing doesn't always make sense to people. I'm light years ahead of anybody industry that could be taking the performing arts and doing something remarkable with them. And I couldn't get 20 years ago when I was trying to do all of this, you know, by the business, how they did. Right. I couldn't get anybody to understand what I was talking about. Now they're like, oh my God, she is a genius. Like, no, I'm just obedient.
So do you think that's a form of answered prayers in a sense? So if you pray for guidance or for receiving of something, do you just sit back and wait for coincidences, like you said, or people that come in out of nowhere?
No, opportunity presents itself every millisecond.
Okay.
Most often people don't have the eyes to see it, the ears to hear it, or the heart to believe it. But opportunity is constantly presenting himself. The word of God that I study, it says that his blessings fall on the just and the unjust. And I think those blessings that fall, they're in the form of ideas. He starts in you before he starts to you. So things don't happen to you. They first happen in you.
Wait, can you give an example of that?
Sure. So you get the idea to do a podcast.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, your wife gets the understanding and how to design your set. And no, sweetheart, don't use your cell phone. Use your cameras. And this and this and this. But it first started in you. And then it started happening for you. So interiors first, exteriors easy. But once you get in agreement with whatever the goal, the dream, the desire, the instinct, the opportunity, the idea, everything around you has to shift and evolve and explode in order for that thing, because you just got in agreement with the dream. Most people don't agree with their dreams. It's a nice dream, but they don't say, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's what's up. I like that. Once you do that, nothing can stop you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they've learned this language. Like everything you just described, that is learning the language of the gut, essentially. Trusting your gut.
Yep.
And that's why I'm trying to unpack these questions, even for myself, is I want to learn more of that language, because I know what it feels like now to have inspiration come and then you just know to do something and you can't explain it and everyone else is laughing at you. You don't know what you're doing.
And you have the confidence to step out of the boat in the midst of the storm and walk on water, even though nobody you know, nobody you've ever read about, nobody you've ever seen, and nobody that you know that's ever seen anybody or know anybody has ever done a thing even close to walking on a substance that is never solid. Yet, someone said that you trust, that registers with you, says one word, come. And if people will allow themselves to live that, I think it opens them up to see the truth of the magnificence that they were created to experience. None of us were sent here with a mediocre mission. Nobody.
I like that. Do you think you can block yourself from this language and from the mission? But I think that you can lose sight of listening to that gut if you're doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing.
That
if you're
part.
violating your...
It dulls your... it dulls your senses. It dulls you. So, you know, I do the things that keep me sharp. Serving people keeps you sharp. Because sometimes there are people, like you mentioned something earlier, like, you know, you're doing the good things and you just go in for a simple hug. Do you know that there are people that have been so traumatized, abused physically, that if you go to hug them,
They wince.
or you'll catch a shot.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Because instinct says that's too close, you might hurt me. So dealing with people, learning to love people, especially people that are hard to love, that keeps you sharp, keeps your instincts sharp. So as long as you maintain a posture of service, I think it keeps you sharp. But once you lose that and start thinking about yourself,
Oh, my gosh.
it'll make you dull.
That's a wisdom bomb right there. I think that's the best barometer. You're just blowing my mind in this stuff. I think that is the best barometer. Is what I'm doing, this green light that I'm feeling, does it benefit others? How many?
Sure.
How?
Sure.
And then you don't have to be stuck in yourself. How does this make me look? What does this do for me? What are people going to think of me? It doesn't matter.
Because that doesn't matter. So, you don't like me? That's because you don't know me. But here, I'm going to hug you anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because either it helps you to identify where you're at and you can sharpen yourself, or it helps you to identify where they're at and how you can show up better or show up differently in someone's life if they don't like you. Clearly there's something about you that I'm not seeing, knowing, understanding, or there's something about me that I'm not seeing, knowing, and understanding. But through this service exchange, hopefully it's helping us both become better. Okay, T, then you need more patience if they're responding like this. Or talk less, T. Listen more. You're not hearing them, and that's why they're getting upset. Or you misunderstanding what you're hearing. Ask for clarity, get clarity. Or did they say this already and they're having to say it a fourth time and it's frustrating them because now they're feeling invisible to you and they really love you and look up to you and you can't see that they're going through an added layer of challenge just trying to have this relationship with you. So it's super ultra important. And again, I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. I can tell you story after story where I wasn't as attentive as I needed to be. And it cost. It cost. So I never try. Look, I don't want to learn that lesson again.
Right.
I don't want somebody to lose their life or lose their career or lose their hope because T's not attentive, because T's not on her game. I'm like, no, you stay on your game. You won't have to fight to be on a game. But you showing up has the potential to someone not take their own lives. I mean, you're dealing with that kind of volatility in people's lives every day, and we don't even know it. We're standing next to those people in the grocery store, checking stuff out.
Yes. Please be kind, people.
Because you don't know. And then I know it's a thing just to kind of stay on, the whole time, all day, every day. But that should be something that we're all looking to graduate to.
I like that. I like that. It's not always easy to stay on.
It's a choice. Not easy. It's a decision.
So even if you're not feeling on, you can still act
You can decide.
on.
You can decide to be on in a moment.
And what does that decision look like? Hey, even though I don't feel this way and I'm going to act this way, like I'm going to say something nice or not do something mean. Is that what you mean by make a decision?
Yeah. And I have a standard practice, especially when I'm in community with people, is something as simple as saying, hi. Hey, how you doing? What's up, baby?
What's up? Oh, I felt that. That's okay.
It's simple. And it just, sometimes people just need to be seen. Like you'll watch, even the checker. I'm so glad you came to work today. Now, if you didn't come to work, I couldn't be getting this cake. Now, I know I don't need the cake, but I'm glad you're here because I'm going to enjoy this cake. You having a good day? What's your name? Most people don't do that.
They don't. That's so cool. My brother's really big on that. He's a younger brother, but he's a role model of mine. And he will be in a checkout line somewhere and something tells him, ask that person how their day is.
Absolutely.
And so he just listens to it. And he said he can see people just light up. Like, whoa, you mean that?
Yeah.
You mean that? And he's like, it cost me nothing. It's nothing off my back.
Nope.
And it just lifted that person's day up. And
Yep.
that's what you're talking about.
And sometimes you learn things about people. I've gotten, for example, I was coming back from the East Coast with a friend, from visiting a friend, and I'm stuck in an airport because we're all snowed in, right? This young man, he's looking for a table, and the guy's like, no, you can't sit here. And so he goes to sit at the bar. A lady at the bar says, bar's not open, we're closed. It's, we're in the middle of the night and it's snowed in the airport. And I'm sitting at a table. I'm like, well, you could sit with me. Come sit with me. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Sit with me. I'm like, so, okay, where you going? How are you going? Oh, I'm going to Sacramento. I'm going to here. I'm going there. And we just start having conversation. We're stuck in that airport overnight for 23 hours.
Wow.
We're stuck in that airport. By the end of the 23 hours, I knew him, he knew me. We're having breakfast together. We're exchanging ideas. I find out relationships. I find out this guy manages all the media for the NBA. Anything you see on any ESPN channel, his team captures it, edits it, and produces it, and posts it, and shares it, and broadcasts it. And he couldn't find a place he couldn't get anybody to give him some sort of kindness. In the middle of the night, we're all trapped, and he couldn't find a place to sit with all his bags. Do you know that man traveled all the way from New Jersey just to show up at a birthday party? He's also integral in a lot of my young men and my young ladies in media getting opportunities in the NBA.
Wow. Wow. It was your intention that found that, I just feel like that's one of those things. I'm not even going to be able to explain that. That's a fantastic story. Do you have any words of either advice or encouragement for kids that are going through or have been through a childhood like yours,
Yeah.
and it's still on them today, and it's still impacting their ability to choose to, be kind or whatever that is? Is there anything you can say, like anything you would offer?
Yeah, it's all gold, baby. Anything you experience or endure in life, it's all gold. It's a setup. It's to prepare you for the ultimate you that you're designed to come. So never look at it as a deficit. Look for the lessons in it. Somehow, some way you made it through it. There are people that do not make it through trauma. It cost them their lives, but not you. You're still here. So what do you do with the gold that's called the difficulty that you went through? You made it through. Never quit. Never quit. What are your dreams? What are your goals? What are your desires? What do you want? Never quit until you have those things. Because what you're seeing, what you're sensing, what you're thinking, what you're believing, it's all right. The bigness of it is all right. And it's for you. And the fact that you made it through this tells me you can make it to this. So keep going.
Take the lesson from it.
There's a lesson in everything.
What are you most excited about looking in the next 5 years?
Well, a couple things. I think as far as the scaling of the business is concerned, we get the great privilege of occupying more states. So we're headquartered in Sacramento. We also are in San Diego. We're in Fresno. So we have a good, strong vein or pipeline through the state of California. So I'm thrilled about that. But we're adding Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street. And Philadelphia, we'll be there site scouting in a week or two. I'm looking forward to that. Harlem, New York. We've been in talks with the city of New York for a couple of years now, and we're ready to activate. And then Atlanta, Georgia. So just really, I know that what we've done by way of building and creating here in California, it works. Now I'm excited about seeing if we can, dive into other cultures and other states and other communities and get the same results. I know that, our kids are not just struggling here, they're just struggling. And the more we can expand and reach and touch and hug and encourage and inspire in other states, the ultimate goal is if we get enough places and deposit who we are and what we do and build up a bunch of leaders, then eventually we can dominate what we're doing, nationally. And we're also scheduled to take up residency in Zimbabwe and in Ghana. And so I'm looking forward to that. The heart of that dance is, it has a different meaning in Africa. That's how they They definitely communicate. That's how they communicate not just with each other, but, with the gods when they need rain and things like that. So dance to them is not something you learn in a class. Dance is what you do, is a part of your cultural norms. So I'm looking forward to being able to, not just work with them and teach them, but to learn. I know I have a lot to learn still, so I'm looking forward to my young people having a cultural exchange.
You mentioned other cultures. Does this program have to be tailored to, say, an Indian culture or people from the Middle East, or is it or is this a universal template that can be used anywhere in the United States?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
And you'll find that a lot of the styling of dance here in the United States is inspired by these other cultures. So again, when you say universal, the language is definitely that. It's movement. And so anytime that you can, get the right beat and the right group of people, you can develop each other in some very remarkable ways. People walk away thinking, seeing, and believing, and having confidence in who they can become. And so the more we can offer that, again, we're not just a dance program. We have so many different facets that are genuinely designed to help people win in life, creatively and entrepreneurially. So the hope is that we can scale that in a way that it causes the rest of the world to stand up and decide that they can serve people differently.
I love that. These are big dreams, big goals, big works. I imagine at times, and maybe I'm wrong, but do you ever get fear on you? How do you manage that?
You face it.
What do you mean?
You face it. There's nothing. Fear is not bad. Fear protects you, for sure. It's an instinct that we're gifted so that we don't get ourselves into situations and circumstances that cause us harm. But if most people, when they have a fearful situation, they either run from it or they want to look at it or they cope. And I've just learned that, fear is going to either make you or it's going to break you, baby. But you get to choose. So when I have a fearful situation, my instinct is to run toward it, not from it. And most people run from it. And so, when fear is facing you, it's facing you for a reason. Like, why do you have fear about this? Do some investigation. Why is this scary to you? Is it because you're afraid to fail? Is it because you're afraid to get hurt? So you don't want to get into another relationship? Is it because you're afraid that you won't have enough or that you're not enough? The fear presents itself for a reason. You feel fear for a reason. If you can examine why you're feeling the fear, then you can face the fear and beat it. And then get on the other side of the fear, which is, wide open door to opportunity.
So identify the fear, examine what it is in yourself so you know exactly what to face. Yeah. And then it can dissolve at that point?
Absolutely. Or it should strengthen you to go to the next level. So again, some people have a fear of spiders, but then some people don't have a fear of spiders. So whatever the fear is, it's not fear. It's something in you that's triggering fear. So if you can identify the something in you, you can strengthen you to face the fear and push past it. Then there is no fear. If you know what's generating it for you, but it's triggering you for a reason. So always go introspective when you have that feeling of fear. What is it? Is it for safety? Is it for growth and you really are comfortable and you don't want to grow? Are you afraid because you think you're inadequate and you can't do this big thing? Like the fear is for a reason. What's the reason? Why is it triggering you? Because this person's not afraid to jump off the cliff. They have a parachute. They'll jump. Why is it triggering fear in you? And then once you can get to the bottom of that, you can develop strategy. Once you got the strategy, green means go.
And it helps when your why is to serve others.
Oh my goodness, that's the understatement of the decade.
That's incredible.
If you keep that as your number one priority, it's the kindness, the generosity, the investment in other people. You never have to worry about another day of your life in your life. Just serve people. If you serve people, it'll strengthen you. It'll help you. You'll be fulfilled. You'll be loved. It'll motivate you. Even on the days you don't want to wake up, you wake up. And it does something in you to help you keep examining you so that you grow and you evolve and you become. No one is gifted with the manual that tells you, with this life, you're going to become this. You learn that. And I find that most often you can't learn that alone. You have to learn that through relationship building and service. And, I've learned that, people know you by your fruit. You examine somebody's life.
Yes.
So my hope is that, no, people can say a thing, but do something completely different.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always my hope that when someone is looking at my fruit, they see the pure, the lovely, the just, the excellent, the praiseworthy, the good report, the truth, the virtuous.
You can feel it in people too, like when you get with someone, a lot of people can hide it through a screen, but you can feel, oh my gosh, this person has good intentions.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we're not aligned, but I'm going to at least see why we crossed paths.
Yeah. And then your good intentions inspires good intention, which inspires good intention. So the ripple effect of just being good.
So you think a good intention can inspire a bad intentioned person to want to be good intentioned?
Haven't you seen it?
Could. Yes.
Haven't you seen it?
Yes. So now as soon as I said that out loud, I'm like, oh man.
All day.
Wow.
So it's not a hard recipe. It's, in my mind, it's just super simple. Just show up, be good. All is well.
That's awesome. Can I, the drowning, is it okay if I ask a
Oh,
question?
certainly, yeah.
Do you ever feel her presence in your life?
She did survive.
Okay.
And I felt life without her presence, which is why I think I am the way I am when it comes to people. I know what it's like for someone to be in your life and then they're gone. So, that's a thing. I don't take that for granted. I don't take a meeting for granted. I don't take a relationship for granted. I give everything that I have to give because I know when someone's life force is gone, I think that's unless they choose to transition, but that's a tough thing.
Wow. Okay. So transitioning as a choice. Meaning that you can either choose to cease and be done, or can you expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely.
That's incredibly profound to me.
Absolutely. So I think that, for example, my aunt, just recently passed away. She lived a very challenging life and an interesting lifestyle. But, maybe a couple months ago, my mom called and she says, Auntie's in the hospital and will you pray? And I'm like, absolutely. But what am I praying for? Does she want to stay or is she ready to go? And she said, she wants to stay, And so I again, I'm prayerful about it, but she wanted to stay because you wanted her to stay. You say she wants to stay because you don't want her to go. So she hangs in there for 2 months, but you watch the decline. She's not eating, and she continues habits that are not healthy, that are lending to her, this failure, that failure, that failure. And I'm saying to my mom for months, Mom, are you sure she wants to stay? And so she transitioned a handful of days ago. And I said, Mom, she fought her fight. And I think she stayed in the ring for this last couple of months, but I really think she was doing that for you and for her kids and for her grandchildren that just didn't want to see her go. But she made her decision a long time ago. So if you're watching someone and their health is on the decline, if you're watching someone that says, oh yeah, they're not thriving or pushing or driving forward, I'm taught that without a vision, people perish. So if they're not speaking future, if they're not speaking growth, if they're not, I'm going to travel here, I'm going to do this, if the signs are there and people are most often communicating, but they're hanging on for the people they love who are hanging on to them, or they're afraid of the transition process. But I think people have the capacity to choose, and either you fight or you bow out gracefully, or you experience tragedy that you let take you. And so I'm not implying that, I know that might upset some people when they hear those sorts of things.
It might, but I agree with you. I told you about the guest that might come on someday who's helped a lot of people transition, and he told a story of a man and wife, and the man was holding on against all odds and couldn't figure it out. And this guy figured out that he was concerned about his wife. And so he brought the wife in to the guy, and I will hard time getting through this one, but essentially he brought the wife in for the guy. He played him a song on their guitar, and then the guy realized he had a moment of lucidity out of his Alzheimer's and realized, my wife's here, she's safe, and let's go. And dies right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're saying, it made the choice to transition.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, we're all gifted freedom of choice. Everybody is. You can choose to succeed. You can choose not to. You can choose to win. You can choose to fail. You can choose to show up in somebody's life and be a light and a guide. You can choose to stay in your box and make sure you're okay and only you are okay. We're gifted freedom of choice. There are no robots here. We're trying to create that, but there are no robots here. If you were born, you are gifted with freedom of choice in how you navigate this planet and how you exit it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about humanity. We get to choose who you want to be, how big you want to go, how much you want to grow, and how much you don't. So if someone is watching this and they're not experiencing the successes or the peace or the growth in their lives, in an instant, you can choose to change. That's the great thing about choice and desire and decision. In an instant, that can change. And I think that, as long as we stay mindful that we're a collective.
I like that.
And if we make it, it's because we made it.
And given that we're a collective, staying mindful with the intent to serve is certainly going to help.
Yeah, because if we make it, it's because we made it. This is one big, massive team effort for sure.
That's fantastic. Well, I feel inspired, encouraged, and I know people can see the video and the words and the sounds and see your body language, but the feeling that is in this room right now, and I just feel like we're pulsating goodness out into the world. And I thank you so much for sharing all this and being vulnerable.
My pleasure. Can I offer one thing before we shake hands?
Yes, please.
I know with what I do, sometimes, most often people don't know how to start or what to do when they want to start on their journey of good and service and supporting and helping and encouraging and inspiring other people. And one of the things I try to help people do is, if you can't start it on your own, find someone that is doing it and support them. Be a part of the movement, be a part of the mission, contribute to it. So most often, when people ask what can they do for the movement and the mission that we're doing with young people by way of arts, media, and entrepreneurship, I offer 3 ways. Number 1, if you're an educator or someone who's masterful and gifted and inspired to share your gift, come teach. Well, I'll give you the tools and we'll get you connected with kids that are like-minded, like-spirited, like-cultured, and give them what you got. The second thing is financial resources are helpful. We do a lot of social services through what we do. So if you're one of those very, very fortunate people and you have extra resources, $5, 5 cents, all of it counts and all of it helps. Get started. And the third thing is, be a champion by way of sharing. There are people out here that are doing good things. Start telling people about that. There's this organization. There's Miss T's organization. There's Trevor's podcast. Be a champion and an advocate by information sharing. We already know, all the bad stuff that's going on. We're inundated with that.
Yeah.
Start being a champion for sharing all the good stuff that's going on. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know. Be a mouthpiece for good.
I love that. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm so glad you added that. Miss
Now
T.
we can shake hands.